Hi, my name is Chrys, and I'm the author of the Disaster Crime series. Today, I'd like to do a short reading for you, but before I get to that, I want to briefly explain what the Disaster Crime series is. Book 1 is Hurricane Crimes. It's actually only available as an ebook because it's under 50 pages, but don't let that fool you. A lot happens. Hurricane Crimes is about a woman who finds herself trapped in her home during a Category 5 hurricane with a man suspected of murder. Book 2 is Seismic Crimes. It's the first full-length novel of the series, and we get to follow Beth and Donovan as they travel to San Francisco to hunt down a murderer. Things get a little crazy really fast when an earthquake strikes and separates them. Do they find each other again? You'll have to read Seismic Crimes to find out. Book 3 is Tsunami Crimes. It takes place in Oahu, where a tsunami strikes and Beth is kidnapped. It's my favorite story so far of the Disaster Crime series. But the book I want to do a reading from today is Seismic Crimes. I previously did a reading for Tsunami Crimes, which you can find on YouTube. The teaser I want to read is actually after the quake. Running down the middle of the street, Beth passed even more storefronts, hotels, and restaurants. They must have evacuated the area because no customers or workers stood outside. It was nothing like the hell of Union Square. But if the authorities evacuated this area, it was for a reason. Beth wasn't sure if she wanted to find out what that problem was, but she refused to turn back. A few blocks later, she saw water shooting into the air. She ran toward it. After a few strides, her sneakers slapped water. The street was flooded. Soon, it covered her feet, soaking her shoes and socks. When she got closer, she made out the length and color of 2 fire trucks through the thick mist. Near the heart of the geyser, she could see firefighters and other city workers. They looked as if they were standing in the middle of Niagara Falls. She ran toward them, hope filling her like helium. Surely one of the trucks could go to Union Square. They could help her dig Donovan out of the rubble and help others who were hurt and trapped. About a block away, the ground beneath her feet started to shake, causing her to trip. She hit the asphalt hard, her body rolling through the water. The shaking was nowhere near the velocity of the quake that happened earlier, but it was strong enough that she couldn't get to her feet. A crack splintered the road in front of her and snaked toward her, drinking the water, flooding the road, and severing the asphalt between her hands. She jumped to the side. Even though the shaking stopped, the crack continued to widen, reaching out toward her as if it wanted to swallow her. She crawled away, using her heels to push herself from its jaws. With wide eyes, she watched the road disappear into the hungry fissure that raced toward the first responders at the water main break. No! She cupped her mouth with her hands and screamed with all her might. The road is breaking! One of the city workers turned toward her, not sensing the immediate danger. The road, she yelled. Get out of the way! The worker's head lowered. Seeing the expanding crack, he spun around. She couldn't hear him shouting, but she could see him waving his arms above his head. Her eyes lowered. The rift was the size of the road, plowing forward like a beast devouring everything in its path. When it reached the area the fire trucks had blocked off, a cloud of brown dust erupted into the air, and everything above ground vanished. The vehicles, the light posts, the people. Beth reached out as if she had the power to suspend the chunk of road and raise it back up, but she didn't. The sound of rock and metal falling into the earth plunged her heart into her gut. She let out a cry. Her other hand covered her mouth in horror. After the dust settled, all she could see was an enormous sinkhole and that dammed water main feeding it large quantities of water. The city workers, the police officers, and the firefighters were gone, crushed, dead. Tears clogged her eyes and throat as she rose to shaky legs and cautiously inched up the road as far as she could go. With the tips of her sneakers toeing the edge of the crack and her hands groping the side of a building for balance, she leaned forward to look into the sinkhole. Between slabs of earth and rock, she spotted the back end of a fire truck, but she couldn't see a single person. The water filling the crater mixed with the dirt, creating a thick mud. Despair filled her. Her chest heaved and tears streaked down her cheeks. She had been so close to them, and yet too far away to do anything but yell. A piece of asphalt crumbled at her feet. Not wanting to tumble into the muddy pit, she backed away carefully, placing one foot at a time behind her, her hands never once leaving the side of the building. The moment there was enough room for her to turn, she pressed her back to the wall, shifted her feet, and launched forward, wanting to get as far away as possible. I hoped you enjoyed that reading, and once again, I'm sorry for a couple of those little mistakes. I hoped that that wouldn't happen this time, but what can you do? Thank you. Bye.